It's funny how life works in such mysterious ways. Men go through their younger years being invisible to women, and women turn 30 and turn invisible to men. Women are confronted with an overwhelming reality as they get older. They begin to understand that sooner or later, they will no longer be able to get the same attention and validation they were used to getting in their 20s. They will not be able to procreate, giving birth will become more difficult, and they must quickly find a partner, settle down, and have a family. This typically affects women in their mid to late 30s. The wall, which is another term for the upcoming period when the biological clock begins to slow down and eventually come to a stop, is something that the majority of women are not prepared for. These women also realize that no matter how much success they chase, they will still feel a void in their hearts because they could only climb the corporate ladder at the expense of not having or not starting a family and settling down with a decent guy. Many women in their early 30s have had successful success catching men's attention for more than 20 years. The desire to date women in their prime has been and will continue to exist in males as young as their early 20s and even as old as their 50s and 60s. Young women have received the attention they have always desired from men of all ages and social backgrounds who have shown them love and given them validation for free. A lot of women have told me stories about how when they were in their mid-20s, dodgy 50-year-old guys would hit on them. And when they turned 25, high school boys would try to get them to go on dates with them. There was a certain imbalance of the men's ages who usually pursued these women. In this sense, the world is open to us men, but not to women. This is because women reach the pinnacle of their lives in their 20s, and after that, their value begins to fall. Men, however, reach their peak after their 30s and their value continue to rise until their 50s. When they are in their 20s, most women can easily catch the attention of men of any age. But beyond the age of 30 to 35, when their appearance begins to deteriorate, the interest of teenagers, 20-somethings, and even men of their own age starts to fade as they start to focus on younger women instead. Many women believe that the men in their age groups don't treat them fairly. Women who are 35 years old question why guys their age don't want to date and marry them. In actuality, a 35-year-old man with a job, resources, and a car can seduce younger, more attractive women in their 20s. Before becoming engaged and eventually getting married, most men need to spend a year or two getting to know a woman. Because of this, if a man marries a 35-year-old woman after undergoing this process, she won't give birth until she's 38, thus decreasing her chances of having children. Early to mid-30s, women must start thinking about males in their late 30s, 40s, and possibly even 50s as potential partners. Many of these older men are now the only ones left on the market because they have already had children and marriages. If these men are divorced, they likely already have children, and they might want a second wife. Some of the mid-30s women I know don't seem to want to accept this. They claim that only older men are looking at them, and they find it repulsive. These same ladies spent their 20s hopping from one fling to another, and now they're confused about what happened. They didn't anticipate finding themselves in this situation, and things weren't supposed to turn out this way. Many of them find it shocking that men select women rather than women selecting men. It's challenging for women to accept that they aren't being pursued in the same way they once were, since the natural order of relationships has been turned in favor of males. Only a small percentage of guys who have been physically burned by women, have an understanding of the plight of women in their 30s, are now the men they choose to date instead of the entire male side of the human race. It's even worse for women who have an obsession with having babies. They don't care how they can get one because they want a child so desperately. They will sleep around unprotected and claim to be taking the pill when they are not. I met a man who had 3 children in 3 years with 3 separate women, all of whom claimed to be taking the pill. He is currently supporting 2 children and residing with the lady who gave birth to his 3rd child. I used to believe that once their friends started having babies, a lot of ladies my age would start having children as well, especially in the group of individuals I hang out with. Many of my female friends who are in partnerships and are in their mid-30s have decided against having children at all. A lot of the ladies in groups of 10 to 15 who hang out together choose not to have children. The few women who had children are no longer allowed into this particular social circle since these 35-year-old women are still partying and clubbing like they did in their 20s. I find it disgusting that women go to cougar clubs to meet young men looking to get in bed with old and bored women. The fact that the majority of these 25-year-old men are simply concerned with getting laid seriously damages the self-esteem of many women. They don't appear to care though. They crave the attention of young, attractive guys, so they want to extend the party a little bit longer before they approach middle age. Many women experience the second wall in their early to mid-40s, and by that time, many have lost the capacity to entice even 20-year-old gentlemen who are only interested in physical intimacy. They typically begin gaining weight and enter menopause at that time. Asian and Black women age more slowly than white women, yet once they start to lose their beauty, many of them age rapidly. In the space of a few years, a 38 or 39-year-old Asian lady may transform from looking like she's 29 or 32 to looking as if she's in her early 40s. Women often mature earlier than men do when they are teenagers because they have historically had the reproductive advantage when it comes to passing on their genes. This is because, especially at times in our history when resources were scarce, the earlier women mature, the higher the prospects are for the survival of our species. They will, however, wither earlier as well because they flower earlier. Men with money and resources are more likely to attract women, and smart men who put out the effort and save money will only become more alluring to women over time. Women in their prime go to clubs in order to live off of the attention and validation they receive from men of all sizes and ages. Young girls who frequent clubs are real crowd pullers too. They raise the level of that club and enable more ticket sales, along with the sales of drinks inside. Since everybody wants to go to clubs that are frequented by young and beautiful girls in their prime, the brand equity of those clubs increases exponentially. With regards to MGTOW, I've said this before as well. Clubs are more like zoos where everybody flocks to see the pretty birds or the majestic tigers, and the zoo owners do everything they possibly can to give them more visibility. Clubbing isn't what it used to be. Now it's about a bunch of thirsty men who are incredibly low value, simping after average girls who are only looking for the validation they're addicted to. And in all of this, the owners of the clubs make profits, and entire generations get wasted on alcohol and waste away their resources on meaningless things trying to chase the wrong man and woman. Men, on the other hand, are drawn to women because of their capacity for reproduction. The aging process can be compared to a game of poker full of deception and other types of misdirection, where both sides are involved. For example, if a man and a woman were playing poker in their early 20s, the man starts with 1 chip and the woman has 90, but by the time they are 35, he has 85 of those chips and she has only 6. Your financial resources have a significant impact on your status and alternatives in real life, just like in poker. More women than men that I am aware of wasted their money rather than saved it when they were young. They would go on trips, purchase shoes, have supper out a couple of times a week, and hang out a lot with their pals. They would also spend a lot of money on makeup and cab fares when they are in their mid-30s. I've encountered ladies who are desperate for a wealthy man to bail them out because they are heavily indebted due to credit card debt and educational loans. In order to help them pay off their debts, many of the women I know have openly stated to me that they are looking for sugar daddies. The aging wall can be a devastating psychological blow for women. Men age considerably more slowly than women do, and once they are in their mid to late 30s, they are more willing to date a variety of 20-something women. My single friends hold the majority of the cards and poker chips in the new dating game, but since I recently made many of them aware of MGTOW, they are giving up the game and focusing on finding their own happiness. I believe the reality for women starts to hit them in their 30s. They spend their 20s partying away, chasing the bad boys, chasing the highs and the tattoos and the clubs, and living off of the free and unlimited validation and attention they get from thirsty men. In their 30s, reality hits them hard. They no longer get men drooling over them in nightclubs. They no longer get the free validation they're used to. The guys who used to party with them have now settled and living stable and happy lives with their wives. So these women find that society has moved on around while they're still stuck in their 20s mindset. Then they also start to realize they're nearing the end of their biological clock, which makes them enter panic mode and desperately search for a man. The same nice and sensible guy they used to make fun of in their 20s. The same guy who's now a millionaire and happily living with his young wife and enjoying life. So, it is really funny how life works in such mysterious ways. Men go through their younger years being invisible to women, and women turn 30 and turn invisible to men. Hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching Man Reacts. Please show us some love by subscribing to our channel and your support by liking our videos.